Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. TGIF, happy Friday, and happy Friday of Earth Week that we have been shouting out all week long, how to live a more sustainable life. And we have had some wonderful conversations, starting with Violet from Mevo and Stephen from Flat Rock Brook. And we did, as many of you know from watching this week, hold over our conversation for Share the Mic Now, which will be happening in a few weeks. That is part of this series because we dedicated some time yesterday to an important conversation with Assemblywoman Sumter, talking about the big verdict this week and what it means for going forward in terms of impacting systemic racism in our society. So, but we're back to our sustainable conversations today. And it's a great Friday conversation because this spotlight today on this wonderful sustainable business is going to get us vacation ready in our minds. There's so many people already traveling, getting out there and going places and going warm places. And we know that the weather, although it doesn't exactly feel like that from yesterday and today, if you're in the New Jersey area, but we know that the warmer weather is coming. And so we know with that, we definitely need some summer apparel, which always means swimwear and, fun clothes like that to get ourselves into. And what's better than sustainable swimwear? Who even knew that that was a thing? But not only is it a thing, but Ywca D'Amico is here to tell us all about her sustainable swimwear line called the Days Swimwear and Apparel. This is a women-owned business, which we always love those. It's vegan and eco-friendly apparel, and it's based here in New Jersey. And all of Ywca's designs and her manufacturing work is done right here in the Garden State, which is wonderful. And she puts an emphasis on environmentally safe materials and ethical processes. And we're going to talk about why that's so important. When we think about what we put on our bodies and how that seeps into our bodies, it's really important to think about, what is in our clothing. And so this is a great conversation. So all the apparel from this line are 100% organic Supima cotton, and her swimwear, if I said that right, her swimwear is made from 100% recycled plastic and beach shells. How wild is that? And those would otherwise end up in a landfill. And for the past 3 years, she has made it her goal to empower and partner with local female artisans for the majority of her designs, especially for the embroidery and the screen printing. With a background in corporate fashion and design production, she has experience from being a seamstress and working in the New York City Garment District. And she and her team are able to bring this brand vision to life, both ethically and positively. She emphasizes ethical production after years in the fashion industry, witnessing how unethical overseas production has been promised her and has been and promised herself that she would start her own brand and be very focused in this area. So how wonderful is it to think about this kind of option for your swimwear, that you are supporting a women-owned business and totally supporting our planet as well when you are buying one of these wonderful pieces of swimwear. So with that, welcome, Ywca. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, so excited. And what a great way to end the week, to end Earth Week, to start a weekend, to be thinking about, being in a warm, beautiful, environment and being in something beautiful and at the same time helping our Earth and our planet when we're in it. So you've had this amazing background in fashion.
Thank you.
Which I love. We there's a lot of YW friends we have around us, both in our team and on our board that have all, worked in the fashion industry. And so, we love hearing about fashion. So tell us how that experience, brought you to, and we heard a little bit about it in your bio, but can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about how that experience brought you to thinking about creating a sustainable fashion line?
Sure. So I went to Fashion Institute in Manhattan for a degree in apparel. And I also have a degree in production management. So that's more of the behind the scenes. I really like kind of digging into what it takes from start to finish, the garment life cycle. So I minored in that. And I feel like that really helped me kind of take me where I am today. Just seeing from start to finish the process, and we worked primarily overseas in my previous positions. And not saying all overseas is bad by any means, but what I had seen from a personal perspective, I thought, there was absolutely a white space for change and to put an emphasis on ethical manufacturing. These are human beings making your clothes, they're not robots. And I feel like everyone needs to, receive the credit that they deserve for crafting these garments. It's really hard work. And there's a lot of moving parts that people don't realize when they go and buy something from the store, whether it's a small retailer or, a large big box corporation. It's still a person behind those things. So for me, I feel like a couple years ago, it just kind of clicked. And, I thought to myself, should I ever start my own line, which had always been in the back of my head. Just as a designer, naturally, that's kind of my dream. This would be my emphasis. This is what my mission would be. And to kind of harness that and keep it all in New Jersey, I just feel so true to myself, which is something that is hard to come by these days.
Absolutely. And so I'm curious because, obviously, so you worked in the field and you saw a lot. And it's interesting. We recently had in our Women's Leadership Conference, one of the kind of the thought leaders that we spent some time with was Rachel Antonoff, the fashion designer. And we talked a lot about ethical practices in terms of making clothing and how making the choices to have ethical practices really does impact the cost and, changes, the business model, significantly. But that's a choice, as a, a choice that as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, that you have to make. And, some of the struggles that come with that, which, what we were talking about was cost and making things, making the fashion still accessible,
Right.
Even though, as a, in addition to making it ethical.
Yeah.
I have to say that slowly.
I know.
It is Friday. It's been a long week. So everything's not rolling off so easy. All that said, I mean, it's, it makes me wonder for you and the background. I mean, just like listening about, what the swimwear is made of. Were you an environmentalist, before, alongside your interest in fashion? Was that, or was it really something that in the fashion industry, you kind of just watched practices and that clicked it for you? Was this kind of like a side
I
thing?
feel like kind of both. I mean, maybe not as much just specifically environmentalist, but in terms of my own personal health and wellness, I've always been a huge advocate. I've been vegan for over 8 years now, and I'm just really into natural, holistic living. And I feel like with that, it just kind of naturally fell into place to care for the environment, to care for animals, to care for humans, making your garments. It all just felt like a full circle fit. And I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't carry this through to my own label.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, we talked a lot about that with a lot of the, over the years, we've talked about that with so many of the women business owners about how to live your personal values in your business.
Exactly.
And, I think, very often when you're trying to start a business, you're just trying to get the business started, right? And you don't want anything to impact it getting started. And so when, as a business owner, do you think about integrating that piece?
Right.
Do you do it at the onset, or do you wait till you get established and then try to work it in? And
I think, what most people paint on the surface is it's all sunshine and rainbows, but there's definitely struggles. And I like to be transparent about that. I try to do the best I can, especially if you're funding this alone and, are kind of moving as you go. You have to, at the end of the day, do as best you can with the costs that you're given. Nothing is perfect, and we all strive for that. But I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure if you are too hard on yourself for every step of the way. I think each step teaches you moving forward, what you'd like to change, how you'd like to better yourself. So I kind of take it as I go. And I think just looking back a year ago, which I tend to do, and see how far I've come in that year is the better way to look at things than beating yourself up for where you're not yet.
Yes. I really appreciate you being, sharing that transparency piece, because I do know for a lot of the women that we work with at the YWCA of Northern New Jersey, we support a lot of women that have a business idea, entrepreneurs, trying to develop it. We support a lot of women who have started a business, trying to grow it. And it's so important for them to hear, these pieces of the journeys, because, very often we see a woman business owner at a certain point, and it's almost as if that whole other piece didn't exist,
Right.
Of the struggle and the journey. So I am grateful, to have you share that. And I love what you just said about looking forward, taking this moment and looking back, because, very often we are so critical of ourselves and, every little, day. But when you look at things in more, holistic snapshot, you really can see where the growth has happened.
Absolutely. And I feel like another point to bring up in terms of the world we're living in, social media platforms, comparing yourselves to others, that can be a downward spiral. That could be your own worst enemy. So you really have to keep your blinders on and stick to your lane and see how far you've progressed, because that will just lead you nowhere if you keep beating yourself up like that.
Yeah. Well, that's very Zen. I appreciate you integrating that too. Focus on what's happening here and not around you, for sure. So, and that's great advice, because social media can be a trap, for sure.
Absolutely. And some could be smoke and mirrors. There could be people, they're painting the highlight reel. There are bad things behind good things and struggles, and that's just natural. And I feel like you really just need to zero in on you and do what's good for yourself.
Yes. So let's go back and talk about the swimwear line a little bit, and what else is part of that line in terms of the accessories. I mean, are they really made of recycled seashells and non-toxic inks?
So yes, so the non-toxic inks, just to clarify, we do have one printed style, which is a non-toxic print, but primarily the t-shirts and kind of beach cover-ups are the non-toxic ink part of it. Mm-hmm. The recycled beach shells and the plastic are regenerated, which is a long-term name for broken down and remade into threads that actually make the fabric. So the recycled plastic industry name is RPET, and the recycled shell coin name is Keto Sante. I know it's a very strange name, but both of those products are eventually turned into the nylon that you see on the swimwear. So in a shorthand way of saying it, they're all kind of broken down into the threads which compose the material.
And what we're looking at here for our viewers is these are snapshots of the swimwear, the line of theccessories that go with it, the cover-ups, the tote bags. So tell us everything, and look at those cute little. There's so many. I mean, the colors are great.
Thank you.
The designs are amazing, and so simple yet interesting.
Thank you.
So tell us what is in the line other than swimwear, because I see lots of.
Oh, good question. So this actually happened accidentally last summer. My husband and I started going to socially distanced markets in Asbury Park, where they would have, in Kennedy Park, they would have the farmers markets on Sundays. And I started just bringing some of my little beach t-shirts and sweatshirts and see how they would sell. Bathing suits are a hard sell in an open field. So we kept it strictly for the clothing. And it was such a big hit. We went back every other Sunday. The response was huge in terms of the shirts themselves. It was kind of like a line extension of the swimwear, kind of like that beach t-shirt shop vibe. So that's how those evolved. I didn't originally plan on shirts taking off like this. I made a couple for a fashion show 2 years ago, and then the farmers market took it to the next level. So it's kind of cool though, because it's an all-encompassing beach t-shirt, sweatshirt, cover up, bathing suit. It all kind of ties into itself.
Yeah, and what amazing. I mean, I'm all about a sun, phases of the moon, and some
Yes.
you got that all integrated in there. So I'm
Yes.
definitely going to be, perusing your site
Yes,
and
absolutely.
grabbing a few. I'm all about beachwear.
Me
So
too.
what's fascinating to me, and of course, I the technology of it, is so interesting to me. I mean, how this is going to sound like a crazy question.
No, no crazy
How
questions.
do you get the seashells to be soft and fun to wear? I mean, it just seems like that would be like, prickly and not so comfortable.
Good question. I actually, more specifically on the plastic end of things, because I feel like that throws people more so. I put up a video the other day on my Instagram Reels to show the life cycle of how do you take plastic bottles on the beach, similarly shells, and turn them into this soft, nice fabric that you can wear on your body without getting scratched. And, in a short term way of saying things, everything is broken down into pieces, then melted down into a substance, which could then in turn be spun into threads, which make the material. So it's a wild kind of circular process to break everything down. Exactly. But visually, it makes a lot more sense. And that's why I figured putting a video like this together would help consumers understand.
Yes, yes, that's great, and that's great. And so for our viewers, you can definitely learn more about what we're talking about today easily when we're done today. We have the link in our comments, and we've been putting it up on the screen. You also can follow the Days Swimwear on IG, and is it also where else are you on social media?
So we have a Facebook, same thing, the Days Swimwear, Instagram, and don't quote me on this, but I'm receiving help. We're starting to get a TikTok, trying to stay up to date with the times.
I get it, trust me. So folks, I encourage you to check out the Days Swimwear and follow on social media so you can see all the great options for you as well. So again, I'm mind blown that these are recycled seashells and, the non-toxic inks. I know that there's been, obviously a lot of trend in that direction.
Yep.
And, we do spend, and we have spent time on this show talking about makeup, right? And
Yeah.
and skincare, which we obviously put on our skin, and then and deodorants, right? And they're all like seeping into our bodies. But I don't know that we've ever spent a lot of time, or as a whole, do people spend a lot of time thinking about the fact that when you put something on your body,
Yeah,
it's on your body and like potentially seeping into it.
absolutely.
So this is wonderful to give people that reminder about these, details because they're not small. So what I love about your swimwear and the way that you package it and showcase it, which is also something that Rachel Antonoff does, which I really appreciate about her, is that you are part of this trend to show women and what they really look like.
Yeah.
We used to always see especially in swimwear, these like skinny,
Yep.
waif looking models. And then, the rest of us would be like, oh my God, I'll never be able to fit in that. And then, just go buy a t-shirt and put it over shorts and jump in the water,
Right.
because that felt like, it was more, something that you could embrace. But I love how you make this really accessible to all. Can you talk a little bit about, your, the journey you went on to do that, and how
Sure.
it's been embraced by women of all sizes?
Yes. So when I first started, I really only had enough saved to make 3 styles. So I made a one piece and I made a bikini top and bottom, and we sold those as separates. My intentions for all those pieces, I had to keep it really compact and, kind of manage my budget, and said to myself, I'm not targeting a certain age group. I'm not targeting a certain size. I want to stretch and make the most out of my budget and encompass designs that, I could wear to the pool and my mom could wear to the pool, and we would both look great at different stages in our lives. So the one piece, which is still on my site today, and I need to definitely make more, became a bestseller because if you were 18 or you were 70 years old, you could rock it and look great. And that to me was not unintentional, but I didn't expect it to work out as well as it did that first go round. So from there, kind of setting that bar and seeing how cool it was to, not pinpoint a certain age or demographic and see that you can really reach a broad customer base and have them feel good about themselves no matter what age. I just felt like that had to be included going forward, no matter what. Like, no negotiation, that's part of it. So more recently, I just did a collaboration with my friend's organic loungewear brand. It's called Ywca. And we worked on a lounge set based on one of my bikini silhouettes from last year. And we're now offering that in sizes extra small to 4XL. So we're hitting, a full size assortment, really trying to target everyone and anyone and make everyone feel great. And you'll see on some more recent posts, the photo shoots we did are untouched, unfiltered, and everyone looks beautiful the way they are. And I feel like, that's just where I stand. And I don't think I'll never compromise that as a brand. So I'm pleased with where we've come, and I'm definitely going to continue to follow that path.
Well, I appreciate that. You're keeping that as key in your brand and in your marketing, because as we know, women do come in all shapes and sizes, and it's important for us to be able to see ourselves, when we look at our fashion options, just to feel empowered, to feel good about ourselves. And
absolutely,
it's definitely a hand-in-hand process, to happen between the industry and the press, and everyone working together to try to shift what has been created, which has really been harmful, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions with, if you're not familiar with the sustainable space, and people, if you approach a customer that's not familiar, they assume sustainable has to be bland or boring or muted, offering, organic is just hemp colored things. And we're breaking boundaries. We're showing that things can be beautiful, designs can be just as great as the vibrant swimwear you just bought at Target and threw away a month later. Like, it's not boring, and we're definitely moving that bar and changing that misconception.
Well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that changing, and we really respect and appreciate that you're, being a leader in that conversation. So let me just make sure for our viewers so they know where to find you. Obviously, we have your link up here. Is that the best way for people to access and purchase your designs, or is there any place else we should be looking?
So I'm in a few retail stores, but if they want to see me and interact with me one-on-one, we do throughout the whole summer. If you're ever in the Asbury Park area, Kennedy Park, to be specific, is a block away from the beach in Asbury. We do the Asbury Fresh Market every Sunday. So that's from 10 to 3 through the summer. And we have a whole tent set up, and you can, see the full range of our apparel there. And it's just a fun vibe if you're in the area or on a beach getaway. It's a really cool space to check out. So we'll be there.
Now, when is the season that starts? I'm writing it down for myself because I'm
come visit
down the road. Tell me, when does that market start in the Kennedy Park?
So we're kicking off Sunday, May 16th. That's my first date. And we're running through TBD, but I want to say a little after Labor Day. So we do through September.
Okay. Well, I'm coming down on the 16th. I'm putting it on the calendar. We're always, cruising around that area. So
come visit me
in person and add some of your pieces to my collection. So what's next? I mean, you've been so creative and so ahead of the curve with what you've done here. Curious to hear what's next.
So we actually have another collaboration with the same brand, the loungewear brand that I just launched with. I think expanding into plus has been my big focus. I feel like so many brands swimwear brands tend to stop at extra large, and that's just not the world we're living in. I think, to be all inclusive size wise is my main goal for every style. All the apparel goes up to plus, but the swimwear is still my priority to expand whatever I offer in the future to be up to at least 3 or 4XL. So the small capsule we're launching in July. It's in the tie-dye material that's already shown on my page. We're doing a matching set, extra small through 4XL for a small summer launch. So that'll kind of be my next bar to set. So going forward, all my other designs will follow suit.
Well, that's so exciting, and we'll be watching and working to keep everybody connected so that they can they can learn about your next steps. So I'm curious. I mean, obviously we've lived during this time of COVID over this last year.
Yes.
How did that as a business owner, we always have so many women who have small businesses that are watching our broadcasts and connected to us, that we're always, cheering on, inspiring, and, trying to give them some concrete strategies to support. How did you get through this time?
So it was definitely challenging. I want to say the markets definitely got me through up until, we had to put those on pause, depending on the numbers and the cases. We obviously wanted to be safe, but while they were still going a little bit through October, that helped me kind of get through the end of the full season. From there, I would do a lot of sales on Instagram. I would run kind of sample sales through my Instagram stories. And through the holiday time, I feel like people responded really well. And it was that sense of urgency, like you post a shirt and say only available in these sizes, and today only it's $20 instead of $45. I feel like those strategies really helped people purchase for the holidays, purchase locally. And it worked well. I would definitely do it again, for an upcoming summer holiday. I just feel like people connected and it worked. So, and trust me, there's been tons of trial and error. There's been days where my website's crickets, there's no one there, but it's part of the business and you learn from there. But that really did help me, the Instagram story skills.
Well, that's great to know, and it really does remind small business owners the importance of these social media platforms. I know, very often people stay away from them because they feel like, excuse me, that they don't know how to, navigate them, or don't know how to utilize them, or feel like, it's not, in their, toolkit but it's important to learn. And that there's real opportunity for your business if you can leverage, figure out your customer base and leverage using them properly. So that's wonderful to hear. And
absolutely. And if it makes anyone feel better, I didn't have any social media until I started my brand, so I hit the ground running. There's hope. If you're scared, don't be scared.
Got it. So that's also good to know, because it's, even though it's new, and I'm following you on IG now.
Okay, good. I'll follow that.
Yeah. So even though it's new for you, it's definitely something that you've embraced and been able to really, utilize to support your business. And so, so there's hope for others to do that as well, for sure.
Yeah.
And, for those of you watching again, YWTV is all about, getting the word out, amplifying messages. I love today's conversation. I've loved all week's conversation, since it really has been about sustainable living. But, today really has a special twist because, not only, supporting a brand like this, and thinking about including more brands like this in your life is not only good for you, your health, it's good for our environment, but it's wonderful to see, a woman business owner, hear her story, and, hear how she's unfolded and evolved, her business and where it's coming. And we really do appreciate you sharing, and we want our viewers to share too. It's very easy to do. Think about this conversation that you saw today, and, share it with someone. Tell someone in your life about this brand, in conversation. Share it over dinner when you're chatting or texting with a girlfriend, or someone in your life. Share the information. That's how the word gets out, and that's what YWTV is all about. It's also easy to share the broadcast. Copy the link, put it in a text, send it in Messenger. But we definitely want folks to know that living sustainably is something we all can do, and that it really does have an impact. That's what this week was all about in terms of our broadcasts. And quite frankly, if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see that we've had a number of broadcasts over the year plus that we've been doing YWTV that have been focused on these conversations. And, what we know is there is a lot to do to be able to turn back what has happened, for our environment. But we also know that every effort that each of us do individually, collectively, will make a difference. And so it's very important to think about where you can make an impact and then to do it. So with that, we encourage you to connect with Ywca on her social media. Go check out her website, learn more about what she's doing. And again, we have all the links here for you. And it's Friday, so we wish everyone, some hopefully time to disconnect and energize and dream about sun and swimwear and vacations and, all of those kind of rejuvenating and regenerating opportunities so that by the time Monday lands that you're feeling recharged for sure. With that, as we know, we've been talking about, I just want to make a few plugs for the remainder of April. April is a time at the YWCA that has, we put a spotlight on Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and our Healing Space team, which are amazing, very passionate and committed professionals that we have here at the YWCA, have put together some wonderful educational opportunities, support opportunities, and resources for our community around sexual violence. We do this work every day, but we've highlighted and showcased some opportunities around prevention and resources for support. Please go to our YWCA Healing Space page to be able to access them. It's also the time in April that we highlight our Stand Against Racism. Again, we live this work every single day at the YWCA, but we do put a special spotlight during the month of April. On April 29th, we do have our Racial Justice Awards, where we are honoring distinguished trailblazers in our community who are living our mission of working to eliminate racism. And with all of that, it is getting into summer camp season. So we do encourage you, if you're thinking about what to do with your little ones this summer, if you're thinking about trying to find a safe and socially distanced, but absolutely fun activities for them, consider our YWCA camps. We have two of them, one in the great outdoors at Camp Glen Gray in Mahwah, which is just beautiful with lakes and hiking and trees and trails, or something that's a little bit more urban based, that's at a school in Dumont. So we've got two options for you depending on what feels right. So please check those out. And Ywca, thank you so much for being with us today. I mean, I'll see you on May 16th personally. Yeah. I'm showing up. I already noted it on my calendar while we're chatting. And as I said, I'm following you on social media, and I look forward to to adding some of your pieces to my collection. And I'm really also looking forward to seeing what you do next. And and Beachy, one of our great YW supporters, says she can't wait to check out your swimwear too. She's watching. So Beachy, we'll get matching bathing suits and do a fashion shoot.
Yes, please.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Ywca.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.